Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Wednesday morning. It is time for Legally Yours. This is the show hosted by John B. Fuller. He's the attorney of the law firm of Fuller & Fuller. The other Fuller is his beautiful wife, Janet. And John is here to answer your questions. It's very much an interactive show. And the show today is being being broadcast, and recorded on Wednesday, December 11th, 2013. And I tell you the date so that you know if you're listening to a live show or not. It is December 11th. If that's the date on your calendar, then you're listening to a live show. And the number is 622-9622 to be on the air with John. Ask a question of legal, has to do with legalities and the courtrooms and things like that. Good morning, John. How you doing?
Good morning, Larry. Good morning to all our listeners. I hope you and everyone's having a happy holiday season. It's a little cooler out there today, so
just a tad, just enough. Yeah,
I'm very happy for those folks who are in retail trying to sell sweaters and coats and scarves and all those things, because it must be difficult when it's 85, 90 degrees.
That's right.
But we are happy to be here again this week, and any of our callers who may have questions about a particular legal problem or about the legal system, it's our pleasure to try to address those in general terms. Janet Fuller, my wife and partner, and I practice law here, practiced law in Marion County for 40 years, and we handle litigation cases, people who are in disputes, people who feel their rights have been violated, injured in automobile accidents or accident cases of any nature. Businesses or individuals who are in business commercial disputes. Janet specializes in handling Social Security disability claims. So if someone has a specific case or potential case, we'd be happy to talk with them at the office and try to help them if we can. And if not, we're always happy to refer people to the appropriate specialist. This program is a lot of fun. We have a lot of good listeners. You make it wonderful, Larry, throughout the year, and we're very grateful for the opportunity to talk about the law and legal questions in general. Obviously, as we've said many times, as in life, the devil's in the details, so you can't give specific definitive answers in a show like this, but I think we can talk about broad concepts. So we've got a caller, and I look forward to talking to all of our listeners who care to call in.
All right, and let's go to the first call. Good morning. You're on the air with John.
Hello. Good morning, John. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning.
Hope you're having a good holiday season.
Thank you. Good morning.
John, there was one thing I wanted to ask you about. You seem to always have the right answers to our questions, and it's the question of inalienable rights. We have in our society, there are certain rights given to us by God, and there are certain rights guaranteed to us by the Constitution. Now, I'm a Christian, I'm a voter, I'm a taxpayer, and I have certain rights, and we put certain people in office to make decisions for us. Now, our Constitution has endured for over 200 years. Some of our courthouses and some of our places of legal centers have the Ten Commandments that's posted, which I like. Do we have a right to enjoy that particular medium, or can we let one person, such as Madeleine O'Hare, I think you understand where I'm going with this, or one person who is an atheist come and say, I don't like that, and then you infringe upon my rights to remove the Ten Commandments from public property or Christmas tree or menorah or babe and imagine. Don't I have those same rights to protest? And they do not have a right to infringe upon my rights, since the majority of the population has elected the officials to make decisions for us. should not the officials then stand for the majority? I'm going to hang up and listen to your comments on inalienable rights, and I will be listening.
Well, thank you for that very profound question. I share your sentiments, and it is quite a difficult thing to understand, and I don't profess to be able to explain some of the decisions that our courts have made or why. I can tell you the technical justification and some of the decisions about the prohibition of one religious group having their religious beliefs incorporated in our governmental institutions, although our country may be a majority of one particular faith or that sort of thing. We do start out with the premise that we are all individuals and we all have individual inalienable rights. As a collective society, the Constitution has a provision in it that is known as the Separation Clause, and it provides for the separation of church and state. Based upon that, our appellate courts have held that government is separate and should not have an aspect of any religious belief. All parties, all citizens should be free and are free to have their inalienable beliefs in a religious philosophy or in no religious philosophy, and our fundamental freedoms sometimes conflict with each other. We have a freedom of free speech and expression. So when someone who believes differently than we do, they have a right to express that, and government does not have a right to impose or to champion any other belief over and above that. That's been the basis, right or wrong. It certainly is conflicting because our founding fathers, you will see where they put throughout the various documents, "In God We Trust," and so forth and so on. So it's difficult. I just think that everybody has to be focused on their own beliefs and take comfort that this country allows them to have those beliefs, to share those beliefs, and to express those beliefs. Do we have another call?
Yes, sir. Sure do. Good morning. You're on the air with John.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you, John.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're an educated man and a diplomat, and you were explaining the way I interpret the law from a layman's standpoint. I would just say to the last listener, the last caller, sir, that if you would take a look at American history, that the Queen of England used the Church of England to control the subjects of England. And when whoever came to North America and helped define our nation, we decided that we would not be manipulated by a people for a people. So we had individual churches and individual people. Therein lies the separation of the church and the state, reflecting government. So when you have to keep those two separate, and I would just make this proposal to the people that lean towards the implementation of religious items in public circumstances in government property. If the wrong religion has the power in this country someday, would you want to have to be forced to honor their symbols or their methods? And that's why we determined as a people when we defined our country. Not to have those conflicts of interest. So in other words, nothing against a particular religion, America being predominantly a Christian nation, but multinational, multicultural. If the wrong religion takes power in this country from a group of people's perspective, they may not like the outcome. So therein lies a lot of wisdom in the Founding Fathers' legislation. So I appreciate you, John, for letting me talk. I don't think I got any of that wrong. Did I, sir?
No, I think you said it very well. I think you were basically confirming what I had just said, and I think you said it very, very well. And I think every day that I practice law, I am in some way, shape, or form impressed upon what you touched on, and that is the wisdom of the Founding Fathers, that these men who crafted the fundamental tenets of our government over 200 years ago have built a lasting and enduring document that is flexible enough, that is resilient enough, and that is strong enough to be providing the structure for what I fully believe to be the best form of government and the best judicial system in the world in the 21st century, where we live and have things in our lives that they never would have probably even dreamed of in the way of technology and complexities and that sort of thing. And it affects so much. I mean, we have a basic premise of right of privacy. Well, they certainly didn't know anything about social media and Twitter and Facebook and all these other things that are out there. And yet, if you look at the fundamental principles, they are flexible enough, encompassing enough that with appropriate interpretation in light of our current technology and our society as it exists in the 21st century, it is still very, very viable and very, very much in effect.
There was a story from NBC News in Oklahoma City. There was a Satan worshiping group that wants to. They said they don't have a problem with the Ten Commandments, but they want to put their own monument on, I guess it was the state capitol, on the state capitol where the Ten Commandments are displayed. They want to put their own. The Satan worshipers do. And the guy who was answering the questions about it said he didn't know exactly what it would represent, what the stone statue would represent, but.
Yes, well, the Founding Fathers. There was the Church of England was very much a part of the monarchy and the government that our forefathers left those shores and fought and died so that we would not have a monarch or a potentate or a religious leader or a king or any other individual who imposed a governmental will, rule, or regulation upon our citizens. Our government comes from our citizenship. It is the actual administration of it is conferred on a temporary day-to-day basis upon elected officials and judicial candidates. But I will tell you that the power remains strongly in the individual people. And Benjamin Franklin said after the Constitution, when they said, "What kind of government have you given us, Mr. Franklin?" He said, "I've given you a republic if you can keep it." And we should keep that in mind. We get the government we deserve. And I'm always amazed about the small percentage of people who actually go and vote. And my goodness,
yeah, really, I know.
That's I understand people get busy and so forth and so on, but that is the key to having the government that the majority want, and in protecting our institutions.
Right.
And if you don't do that, and you allow extremist groups who are motivated to go and champion their ideas, then you're going to, I think, forfeit a very important check and balance that keeps our country centered with what the mainstream majority of our citizens want. Unfortunately, a large percentage of the mainstream majority of the average American doesn't always vote as often and as fully as they should.
Very true. The phone number is 622-WOCA if you'd like to call John, and we do have somebody on the line. John, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Larry. Good morning, John. I just wanted to tag on to what you just finished saying. It's amazing how many people don't vote. And if you get to go to a city council meeting, the vocal minority, it's amazing. They control stuff for the majority of the city. And it's frustrating if you have a little bit of interest and you put political stickers in your yard and stuff. It's frustrating beyond belief to sit up there and watch, like you said, a radical small group control everything for the rest of the people in the city. And this is a local basis. And we see what it's done on a national basis with the current administration we've got now. You're spot on, John. Appreciate you bringing it up to us. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for taking the time to call in. You know, we've been talking about big issues and that sort of stuff. I want to digress a minute. This is obviously a special time of year with many holidays being celebrated in the next few weeks by all of our citizens of differing faiths, beliefs, cultures, etc. And a lot of times individuals have a hard time dealing with their personal problems when the world at large and our media, if you turn on the TV, you go to movies or whatever, tell everybody this is the time to be happy and jolly. And people have problems. And I have clients, and I know there are people out there who are listening who have been injured in automobile accidents, who are facing family crises of maybe a divorce, of very difficult personal issues that involve the legal system. And I just want to encourage you that if you are facing those kind of dilemmas, don't hesitate to get the appropriate professional help. And certainly, if that's legal and we can help you, we're happy to have you call us. But if you're emotionally down, go see someone who's a trained mental health person to help you. If you have injuries or illness from automobile accidents, don't put off getting appropriate medical care. You know, we need to be sure that we keep in mind that we take care of ourselves and consult with appropriate professionals to help us do that.
And you have another phone call.
Very good.
Good morning. You're on the air with John Fuller.
Hi, good morning, John. Thank you for what you do.
Good morning. Thank you.
Along the lines of what you were talking about, in Australia, 94% of the people vote.
Wow.
That's an amazing statistic.
Use the word the conservative. I'll use the word educated. If in this country, if the educated people had voted that did not vote, we would not have what we have today. We wouldn't have the government problems that we got today.
Well, I certainly am a strong believer that everybody who is of lawful age and aren't otherwise disqualified by law has a duty to not just vote, but to be an informed voter.
Exactly.
Don't you know this? And again, I don't mean to impose any personal opinions on anything, but I am amazed when I try cases before juries how intuitively bright and on the ball and conscientious our citizens are that serve on jury duty. I'm always impressed every Wednesday when I sit down at this microphone and have listeners like yourself who have marvelous ideas, well-spoken, articulate ideas about our legal system, their legal problems, our governmental institutions, and we need to, have informed, educated voters to go to the polls and vote. And it's not rocket scientist stuff. It's not something that requires a college education. My goodness, my dad had an 8th grade education, and he was a combat veteran of World War I, and I don't think he ever missed a vote. And when he was too ill to go, he voted absentee. And so I just think it's an important thing to do.
Informed.
Yes. Well, I do.
I should have used informed.
I think that's part of the duty of citizenship. No, not at all. But I think that's part of the duty of citizenship, to take the time to acquaint yourself with the candidates, the issues, their positions, and how their positions on the issues comport with your own opinion of what's best for our city, our county, our state, our government.
We can't be voting for charisma, good looks, or youth. We need to vote for the right person. Anyway, I'll hang up and listen.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think we're all saying pretty much the same thing today. It's I don't know the answer to it, and the people who are a lot more focused in that area than I am, they don't seem to know the answer either.
And you have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with John.
Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Fuller. Recently, you hear it quite a bit on every so often on the news and so forth. But recently, there was a case where somebody mentioned the fact that they had an incompetent legal counsel, and that they wanted to have their case reviewed. Now the judge has the final word. It's something like that. Can a lawyer fight and defend himself on that fact, or does he have any chance of overturning that particular thing?
Well, it's not the attorney's battle to fight. The Constitution guarantees that any citizen who is accused of a crime has the right to effective assistance of counsel. That doesn't mean a perfect case or a perfect lawyer, but it does mean one who provides effective representation, because without effective representation, and we're talking about a criminal case here, it is a denial of due process of law. And if a person is convicted, they have a right to apply to the trial judge for post-trial relief and to argue that the attorney that they had failed to do something that should have been done, or did something that shouldn't have been done, and that was of such a serious nature that it rose to the standard of ineffectiveness, so that the conviction was tainted because his defenses were not adequately prepared and presented. Yeah. The trial judge hears that in a post-trial motion to begin with and rules on it. And if his ruling is no, you did have effective assistance of counsel, then it is an appealable issue that goes to the appellate court to determine. And they are